So you got your hands on these new VUnion Pokemon cards and you want to know how to use them. Well, you're in luck because in today's video, I will be teaching you how to use the new VUnion Pokemon cards. Alright, so let me first start off by saying that these VUnion Pokemon cards play very differently from your typical average Pokemon cards. So first, you may notice, well, there's 4 different cards. How is this gonna work, Okay, so the first question you probably have about these VUnion Pokemon cards is how do I play them, right? Because you have 4 different cards here, so how does this work as a singular Pokemon? So if you want to play the VUnion cards, you have to have them in your discard pile first. What that means is for me to play this Pikachu VUnion, assuming all the cards are in the discard pile, I am then allowed to put it on my bench. Now this can only happen during my turn. It cannot happen during my opponent's turn. So let's assume right here my Pikachu VUnion is on the bench. If I wanted to put them in the active spot, I would have to have either a certain card that allows me to switch out my active Pokemon with my bench Pokemon, or have enough energy on my active Pokemon to retreat and allow Pikachu VUnion to go into the active spot. It cannot go directly from the discard pile to the active spot. You have to somehow switch out your current active Pokemon. So now you're probably wondering, okay, I can play the VUnion Pokemon cards from my discard pile, but how do I get them to the discard pile? If you have seen my previous video, then you would know that I mentioned getting a Professor Burnett card when I opened up this Pikachu VUnion Special Collection box. I got a Professor Burnett card, and I mentioned that this will be very helpful when you try to use these VUnion Pokemon cards, because, as you can see here, Professor Burnett allows us to search our deck for up to 2 cards and then discard them. Then shuffle your deck. Assuming you have at least 2 VUnion Pokemon cards in your deck, right, face down. So here they are over here in the deck, face down. And then I can use, if I have Professor Burnett in my hand, I can use her. Remember, you can only play 1 supporter card during your turn. So if you did have all 4 of them in your deck, you would not be able to get all of them in the discard pile in the same turn, because you can only use 1 supporter card per turn. Let's say I use my Professor Burnett, then I put her in the discard pile, and that allows me to search my deck. I find 2 Pikachu VUnion cards, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to put them in my discard pile. So now I will only need to get 2 more of these Pokemon cards in my discard pile. Alright, so if I have VUnion cards in my deck, then yes, I can use Professor Burnett to put them in my discard pile. But what if I actually draw one of these cards from my deck? Now I can't use Professor Burnett anymore. Same goes for the prize cards. Let's say I knock out an opponent's Pokemon and my VUnion card that I need is in my prize cards. If I'm lucky enough to draw it and get it to my hand, then I'm going to have to use some other method to discard these cards. That's where you can use a card like Professor's Research with Professor Magnolia on the card art. She will allow you to discard your hand, in which case I have these VUnion cards in my hand, and now I can discard them and draw 7 cards from my deck. That's how that card works. So it would be very beneficial to use both Professor's Research and Professor Burnett so that we can make sure these VUnion cards go into our discard pile. The reason VUnion cards work this way is because they're actually extremely powerful. So it had to be at least a little bit difficult to try and get them on the field. Alright, so now you're probably wondering, well, what happens if my Pokemon gets knocked out? Well, first of all, Pikachu VUnion, or any VUnion for that matter, They all will give 3 prize cards to your opponent if they manage to knock them out. You're probably wondering, well, wouldn't that put them in the discard pile? Couldn't I just bring back my Pikachu VUnion from the discard pile if it just got knocked out? The answer is no. Unfortunately, you can only have a VUnion card once. So, what that means is if your opponent manages to knock out your VUnion Pikachu and it goes to the discard pile, it has to stay in the discard pile. You can't bring it back. Some other weird rulings with the VUnion Pokemon cards is that this Pikachu VUnion, all 4 of these cards considered to have the same name. What this means is that I cannot have more than one of the full set of Pikachu VUnion. I cannot have 8 Pikachu VUnions in my deck. I can only have these 4 because all 4 cards are considered to have the same name. Another weird ruling is that these VUnion Pokemon cards are not considered basic nor evolution Pokemon. What this means is whenever a card affects a basic or evolution Pokemon, it does not affect any VUnion Pokemon cards. What this means is if you have a card like Quick Ball, which allows you to take out a basic Pokemon from your deck, you cannot do this because Pikachu VUnion is not considered a basic Pokemon. What this means is you can still use a Great Ball because it does not specify that you have to pull out a basic Pokemon from your deck. So you could use a Great Ball to pull out a Pikachu VUnion card from your deck, and then probably use a Professor's Research to discard your hand. Alright, so hopefully now you know how to use VUnion Pokemon cards. Hopefully this tutorial was helpful for you. If so, be sure to give this video a like. It really helps me out a lot. That's all I have for today's video. I'll catch you in the next one.